Welcome, Nottingham, to the Board of Selectmen meeting for the Monday, October 18th of 2021. We will start with the President, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We are missing two other members tonight, so we'll just see how the meeting goes from there. And I guess we'll make decisions as we go down, according to the stuff that's on the general business. But first, approval of the payroll and manifest.
Make a motion to approve the accounts payable manifest of October 18th, 2021, and the payroll manifest of October 19th, 2021.
I guess I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Do we have approval on the minutes?
Were those amended from last time, Lorraine? Did you get any corrections on them?
I don't think I did.
No? Okay, I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 4th, 2021 as written.
Second?
Motion and a second. Discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none. All in favor? Unanimous, 3-0. All right. Reports from committees. Obviously, the 300th committee?
So far.
Okay. But that's our 7 o'clock appointment, so I guess we'll listen to that when we get there. Budget is Tyler. And obviously they had a meeting, but we don't know. CIP.
We are meeting tomorrow, and I've got a little more to share, but I'll save that for general business.
Okay. Marston's.
Nothing to report.
Excellent. And at the planning board meeting, we had last Wednesday, pretty interesting. We had a conceptual review of the lot and the business going in on Route 4, which you guys might have seen the kind of the general plans with the road and stuff. It actually looks nice. And there's some general plans of maybe splitting up the lot into different lots for buildings and stuff. So he has a good focus of what he's looking at, which is nice. So we'll see where he needs to go from there.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty interesting design to what he plans on doing with the lots and stuff like this and keeping. And there was a guy that came in who was going to be selling truck beds that he gets from Texas used, and he has a woodworking shop. So the old main entrance, you'd say not the main entrance of the building, but there was a really kind of yucky entrance that went in. And there was an old beat-up house and two old beat-up buildings. Well, he's fixed up the buildings out back where he's going to run his truck bed business and his woodworking business.
Oh.
He makes
Yeah.
cabinets and, you know, stuff like that, doors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw that they started cleaning up the pucker brush and doing a little bit of
Yeah.
landscaping, and
Yeah.
it's already looking better.
Right. So that's a nice thing.
Good.
Yeah.
It's all good so far.
Yeah, it's all good so far for that. And then we had the Kubota Land Trust, which is Tammy DeFazio, about the watercross. That did get approved, vote of 4-3. So it's a tight one, but they did get their approval for the planning board. So we will be seeing them sometime in the future here about setting dates for next year's events
Okay.
and give them their,
Special event license.
that's it, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice of saying that, but that's exactly what it is. So that's it for the planning board. And there's a meeting tomorrow night with the planning board, not tomorrow night, Wednesday night. There's a workshop between the planning board and the zoning board to discuss possible future amendments with zoning.
Okay.
And that's it for there. Chris, town administrator's report?
Well, let's see, one news item, one plug, and a couple of things for you to give some feedback on. The private road lawsuit has effectively been dropped. Non-suit without prejudice, I guess is the legal expression of it, but The plaintiffs in the suit and the town agreed to that, and the court has granted the motion to put that to bed. So that effectively ends the case. There's nothing left to be done there. I've heard talk of other petitions. I had one resident asking about how to do that for road acceptance. So the subject isn't dead, but the lawsuit.
Yep.
I would imagine you'll see other activity. One plug, before you meet again on Saturday the 30th, the rec department's doing their spooky walk. They're tweaking it a little this year. They're doing it later so it's a little darker, and they've got some kind of floating pumpkin thing, floating jack-o'-lantern thing they're gonna do down on the river here. I saw them getting ready to try it, run a test run today, but I guess the idea is you carve a little pumpkin and they mount it on this little floaty thing, and then they float all these jack-o'-lanterns in the river. So
Cool.
it sounded really cool
Yeah.
to me and worth a look.
Where do they go?
And, the river kind of pauses as you get down here, and they have one of their people in a kayak there.
But what they're gonna do is, most people are gonna bring their carved pumpkins. They have to be 6 to 9 and circumference. But the neat thing is they're gonna be on these styrofoam floats, and they're gonna put glow sticks in them. So they're gonna wait till sundown and float them in the river.
What day is
What
this?
day is this?
30th,
It's a Saturday.
Saturday.
That's
You
very
can sign
cool.
up online and participate, or it's gonna be, and they're gonna have the spooky walk, they're gonna have craft stuff, there's a lot of good stuff going on. And the Republican Party is having a pie contest, pumpkin pie contest.
There you go.
Okay.
Baking contest
So
or
come for
eating
the- come for the
contest?
Pumpkin pie, or come for the cool jack-o'-lantern thing. Or
Is it a baking or an eating contest?
I think you bring it, see who makes the best pumpkin pie.
Ah, okay. So
Sorry,
it's a
Mark.
tasting
Sorry,
contest.
sorry.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know?
It's either that or you're dunk bed.
That's been done, hasn't it?
The what?
Dunking bed.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And continuing.
One thing, I'm in the process of developing a policy for our town credit cards. We, right now, have pretty much a single credit card account with a spending limit of $2,000 a month on it, which we really bump up against routinely. It's been the same for 10, 15 years, maybe.
That's
I don't
when we
know.
see on the account payables.
Yeah, you see the.
It's a Citizen Bank, whatever they want, right,
Yeah.
okay.
And we're at the point now where some purchases are nearly that much that, you know, you buy a flak jacket for the PD, or you buy a whatever.
Yeah, and then you're hamstrung for the rest of the month.
Right, and every department is seized up on, you know, even like Amazon all runs through that same account, so, we've
Is
talked.
it a
with-
credit card or a debit card?
Credit, but we pay the full balance every month, so it doesn't come out transaction by transaction. That's why you see it but you see it in mass at the end of the month, yeah, so it's a credit card.
So what's the limit?
What I'd like to do is get each department its own card, you know, in the possession and responsibility of the department head,
Yep.
with a higher limit. So we're not all sharing that same purchasing power,
Yep.
you know, that they'd be authorized to use for anything in their budget. But I wanted to take your temperature on that before I went any further down that road, if you're comfortable with having that many cards. The card itself is currently, we have 2 cards, one of them's in my possession, one of them is in the rec department's possession, because they use the most
Same number,
transactions. What's that?
same card or 2 different cards?
Same account, 2 different card numbers, so same pool of money that we're using right now.
But 2,000 there, 2,000 there?
No, right now it's
2,000.
2,000 total.
For both, so it's like
Yeah.
1,000 each card roughly. That's what,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to, that's what I'm,
Yeah, it's 2,000 for the whole town.
okay, that seems a lot, pretty light.
Yeah,
So how many would there be?
I would, you see the fire chief using his own for all kinds of stuff, and we're
Yep.
constantly.
Yeah,
So
that's-
fire, police.
Fire, police, recreation, public works, and admin would be 5. And that would be ideal. If you're not comfortable with that many, we can figure out something else, but I wanted to kind of get your thoughts
But
on
that gives you better
before.
discrete tracking, doesn't it?
It would make the tracking of transactions easier, you know, like we're trying to find a receipt for something. We do pretty well, but we're not perfect.
Yeah.
If you could narrow, because like the police chief will come in and say, I need the credit card to sign somebody up for a class, and I just give her the card and she goes off and does it, comes back. So we would get better, we'd have more accountability on that piece than we do now in practice.
And so it would be 2,000 each card?
I don't know the dollar amount on each one. I don't know, and we may be able to pick that.
Okay.
And you know, I don't know what would be sufficient. It's more about having that many.
Yeah.
And scattering that kind of authority.
I don't think it's a huge number. I mean, you know, you might be aware of the incident at UNH a couple years ago,
That was an Amazon gift card.
P-card
journey.
scam, yeah. You know, of course, their response was to take away all the cards, but there were thousands of cards issued.
Yeah.
Well, hundreds at least. And, you know, they had to take them all away, but you're only issuing 5.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's easy
Yeah, we
enough
have
to
real
track.
time knowledge. You know, if we want to see what's going on in real
Right.
time, we can. But
Yeah.
And can the provider, do they have any kind of audit support that they can offer if we needed it?
what do you mean?
Just
by-
if there's ever a question about anything, you know?
Yeah, any standard, you know, credit card arrangement will, any, you know, business credit arrangement will have that.
Plus, you could set up alerts that says any transaction over X dollars, you would get an alert.
Get an email.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
in town policy, is there already a policy on use of the credit card, or?
Nothing from this decade. If there is, that's why I'm creating one,
Yeah.
you know, to get that down on paper.
Yeah.
And this is a good time to
I'm okay with it.
change the structure a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay with it too.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll probably have something for you in a couple of weeks on that. And then another thing I don't need your guidance on right away, but I need you to start thinking about, I'm hearing from the department heads, understandably, how to deal with our pay ranges in a really high inflation environment. Our merit system works pretty well for, you know, when the cost of living is increasing by 1 or 2%, and we have a range of, you know, X to Y% that we give our department heads to work in. We don't have a structured cost of living adjustment like you see in some places. We intentionally got away from that when we installed the merit system. That was
Yeah.
my first few months here. I think we
Yep.
did that. So
Yep.
I've never lived through the COLA world, but I guess we just need to start thinking about how we want to address it. I'm not saying we need a structural change, but you know, Social Security just came out with essentially a 6% increase for next year on inflation. You know, you're seeing it in the grocery store too. You know, so we need to think about how to approach that in reviews that we're doing now as well as next year's budget. And I don't have a specific request for you, but it's going to keep coming up. So
Okay.
we need to start thinking about how you want to deal with that. Because we're in the budget season. And I think that was all I have. We have a couple things, we have one leftover thing for non-public and then one newer thing for non-public we should do briefly at the end. I haven't heard from any of you that you have anything else, so that's all I have.
Chris, how's the rec department doing with, you know, shortage and?
Staffing?
Yeah, staffing.
They found one more person in the last few weeks, which has liberated, I know it's liberated Courtney a little bit from having to be up there, and I think I don't think it's held beyond that. So it's a little better, but they're definitely still looking.
Okay.
They're just not getting interest. They're trying to get their current people to refer, you know, they have little incentives to
Yep.
for referrals.
Yep.
just listed it again on Indeed yesterday or day before, got nothing. So they're still up against it.
Is she still hoping to use like high school labor to help out with that stuff?
If they had, say, 16-year-olds, those they've had better luck with than younger high schoolers. She would talk to 16-year-olds, depending on the schedule that they were available.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think if there were enough of them, and she could, like send the van to Co-Brown to get them, rather than waiting for them to show up whenever they can show up.
Oh, yeah, if there was a critical mass of,
Yeah,
what they
like
needed.
4 or 5, and then, because they get out at what, 2:25?
Yeah, it's
And then she would need them by 3? Or 2:45?
I don't know what time the elementary
But I
school
mean,
gets out, but
yeah, it's doable, so I guess, yeah.
Yeah, if we got to 4 or 5 that would, solve the whole thing, I think she'd be happy to do that.
Has she gone and talked to the schools directly?
I think Co-Brown, I think she has, yeah. Nobody else is close enough. That gap time is the hard part.
Yeah.
Right.
Getting to the Nottingham school in time
Yep.
is the hardest part for
Yeah.
people that are in school. So, yeah, I mean, the ideal is college students, but they can work anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All set?
Yep.
We're gonna move on to assessing. We have one subject on the assessing. Did everybody get a chance to read it and look at it?
Yep.
About the Lux tax?
Yep.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Did we get a recommendation from Avatar on this?
To deny it.
Yep.
It looks like we've seen this before, haven't we?
Yeah, sorry with me. Just kidding.
Okay.
No, we had tons of Lux, like a month and a half ago.
Yeah,
2
yeah,
months ago,
yeah.
We had like 6 different things on, so. I mean, I read it, I didn't see anything that's abnormal in what they were, I don't know what they were complaining, or, I mean, what they were asking for the relief for.
Yep, I agree.
So, anybody wanna make a,
I'll make a motion that we deny the abatement request, the lot abatement request for map 66 lot 1-4 per recommendation of
Avatar,
Avatar.
yeah. Second.
all right, motion to second, any discussion? Nope, all in favor? Okay, 3-0. Moving to general business, CIP discussion?
All right, so this will be quick and dirty. So our first meeting's tomorrow night. I've gotten response from nearly everybody that I needed to reach out to. I got a new rep from the school board, that's MJ Sabasco. So she'll be attending. Budget has sent someone, planning has sent someone. Jean Reed will be joining again this year. So, yeah, I've gotten good response on that. So what we're gonna do tomorrow night is review last year's plan, and then I'm gonna have them, engage with their committees if they haven't done already to, go through the worksheets and decide if there's anything that they want to pursue, this year. I think we need to do that also as a board, besides the department heads. Chris has sent out the sheets to the department heads, so we'll see what they send back as they start gearing up to build their budgets. But for us, I think there were a couple people that had something. I know Ben had been tossing around the idea of maybe a larger facility for the police department. I don't know if he intended on pursuing that or not, so I'll wait for him to, explain what he wants to do with that. But if there's anything else that we can think of as a board that we might want to work into that schedule and start, that long-term budgeting for, then we should think about that.
Will you at next meeting have an idea of what our plan is, or what, what we thought in the past? Like,
Yeah, I mean, if we, we'll get
Town
some.
hall's a 2-year plan away or something like that, a budget for that, if that's, or just.
Is that something we'd put on the
Well, it's a,
CIP?
it's gonna be a big expense.
The old town hall or the Grange or whatever?
If we're gonna spend like $100,000 on it 2 years from now, it's something we don't have to spend it, it's just a future saying that we might spend it on, you know, the CIP.
Yeah, that's kind of tied up in the SAU conversation in the short term.
Yeah.
If you want to do something with it, you're probably going to have to move faster than 2 years on it then, but
Again,
that's the scale of stuff.
Right.
Yep.
So can you, send you sent me a copy of that sheet. Did we all get it?
No, just you.
Oh, okay. So you send it out to the rest of us and then,
Yes.
or you know what? I'll do that. I'll send it out and I'll do a little write-up.
Yeah, I mean, there's, outside of the, you're gonna hear from the department heads and the, you know, that's facility stuff, vehicle stuff, you know, that's the
Yeah.
usual.
Yeah,
Things that don't necessarily have a department head to look out for them, that are also on the radar, are our audiovisual equipment here, and the, you know, TV broadcast, movie broadcast,
Yep.
whatever that world becomes. The back building here is still on the list of things that we know we have to deal with if we never do anything. The old town hall you mentioned, we've got a few years left before it's time to buy the solar panels that we installed. That contract will not force, but we will make the decision in 3 years to buy those panels.
what kind of number is that gonna look like? Is that something we need to start planning for,
Well, there's a
or?
couple ways you can do it. You can start saving for it now. I think it's probably 150 grand, something like that. When you buy the panels, then you get free electricity.
Yeah.
Right now, we're buying the electricity that comes out of them at a slightly discounted rate, but.
Right,
When the
Would that be a
contract.
warrant article?
What's that?
Set up a warrant article for maybe the next 2 years or 3 years before we purchase it?
There's a couple ways you can do it. You can start saving for it now, right, and just put a little bit aside and get ready for it. You can borrow when the time comes to do that, because you're gonna have free electricity, so all of a sudden you have all this savings. Use the savings to pay a
Could-
bond for short term, something or other.
We use the money out of the fund balance for that?
Or you can use the money out of the fund balance. And then
Since we're gonna have a good,
right, so you could create a fund right now.
we couldn't use any of the emergency money from the government's given us.
No, that won't count.
Okay.
That's good, John.
But regular fund balance money you could. And so, you know, that's an instant, the day you do that, you can't do it for another 3 years, but when you do it, you're instantly getting free electricity, so it's budget savings.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Anyway, there's a couple different ways to do it, we gotta deal with it. And you'll hear about, you know, from DPW, you hear about at least a washing station for the trucks.
That-
If not,
that was the other thing I was thinking of.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you want to get into any kind of structural change around recycling center, there's gonna be
Yep.
capital costs. I don't know, depends where you want to go. But those are
Okay.
things that you may not think of in thinking about CIP,
Yeah.
vehicles and whatnot.
Right. So the other factor that I wanted to be prepared to talk about tomorrow night is the fact that we've suddenly got a bunch of money that, you know, we weren't, well, I don't want to say weren't expecting, but we've got it now. We've got the money for Route 4, from Route 4, and then we've got some, you know, COVID money and then, you know, whatever else came from the state. Anyways, we've got some extra money, and we'll need to know what we can and can't spend it on, or if the, you know, the rules are different between the two chunks of money, right?
Yep.
That's a variable in this year's plan. Not that we're gonna spend that this year, but, you know, I'm sure it's gonna come up. Hey, we got this money back from, you know, what can we do with it? So maybe,
Yeah, you can talk about paying down debt too.
Yep.
that's another way to reduce taxes. And
Yep. Yep. Hey, a little off topic, but what's going on with the kitchen here?
kitchen, we just finished the RFP internally, and that'll get released probably in a week or so.
Okay.
Okay.
Dale Sylvia's gonna run the point on that.
Okay.
And how's he doing after his injury? The rabid fox or whatever the heck it was that bit him?
Well, that was a long time ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it? He's all right? Okay. Okay.
He's nuts, but he's fine.
All right. So that's really that's all I had on CIP, but like I said, we'll be diving into that tomorrow night, so.
I take it, we're gonna talk quickly about the road maintenance policy, is the policy that we had last week that we asked Chris to put together into a more nicely legible, management form. Did we all get to take a peek at it? I did.
I did.
I think it's actually a lot nicer and easier to understand and read, so. I didn't really have anything to comment or change or make anything for it, as it's being a guide, you know, for what it is.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I guess we don't have to make a motion or anything on this, right? We're just gonna,
Well, we do, don't we?
If you want it to be your policy, you gotta vote on it.
all right.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion on this policy? Do you guys wanna wait for the rest of the board member, or you guys, I think everybody's gonna be pretty good with this, cause,
Let's move it. I don't know. I will, tell me if the wording's sufficient or not, Chris, but I'll make a motion that the board adopt the road maintenance policy as written pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 231-232.
Second.
so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 3-0.
John,
Yes, sir.
I want to thank the administrator for sending me a copy of it, because of transparency.
You're very welcome, Steve.
Parallel to that, I sent you a small amendment to the winter and inclement weather road maintenance policy, which is specifically drafted for a specific state law, but I updated
Sign that one.
one section to reflect that same prioritization
Yep,
and change the title of
yep,
one employee.
Yeah,
If you
that's
are
all that
comfortable with
changed.
that
Yep.
yep.
amendment, you could adopt that amendment as well, or amend the policy.
All right.
Is that also, anybody else, any problem with that? I didn't see any myself.
Yeah. All right, I'll make a motion that select board approve the updated winter and inclement weather road maintenance policy as amended for October 2021.
I will second.
We have the motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Right?
3-0. And you know the second one coming around to be signed, right?
Yes.
This is, yeah.
Chris, on the coming up ERZ policy, I did read through it. I know those things from Tom, which he brought this to your attention. Is this gonna be a long discussion on this, or is this something that you're gonna be able to cover for us in a little bit? Just,
I can whiz through it unless you wanna,
did anybody question, just to move on to the 300, and if we wanna come back, we'll come back to it?
Let's do that,
I
yeah.
just don't want those guys to wait for us for,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we can do
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
all right, so we're just gonna push off, agenda, general business item C, and we'll come back and talk about that in a minute. But right now, we're gonna welcome the 300th committee. Come on up. How's it all tonight?
Good, how are you?
In the dream.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it?
I don't want to. I don't know if you.
But I see Word isn't part of the app.
He could, easy enough.
Well, thank you guys for putting together what we asked for.
Okay. Did it cover some of your questions?
I have a little quiz before we start.
A quiz!
There's a mistake, and I just want to bring it to your attention. If you, on page, well, the third page in, cost and revenue,
Yeah,
page 1, tricentennial, there's a number of 42,600. You see that?
Yeah.
That should be 37,000.
wait, where is that?
It's the third page in,
Yeah,
and it says
Cost and revenue.
tricentennial, page 1.
Right there.
yeah,
That number should be 37,600. not-
instead of 42.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, mine says it on here. The tricentennial sponsored events. Mine says 37.6.
Let's see.
Top should say
The top of this.
cost
and revenue.
slash revenue.
Oh, okay, sorry, on
At the
that
top.
page.
And then the total, I have 60,227.
So that was where, so that first page says cost equals 60,227.
Yep,
Revenue equals 83,046, and that's the money raised plus the,
right, the potential money that we could raise through the end of next year.
so you're gonna make a profit.
Right.
With any luck.
Okay, so
Well,
I've always had a theory, if you had a budget, you spend it all, but no, I'll just say that.
same with your retirement savings, right? Don't leave it for your kids. So, okay, but on that first page, it says cost equals 60,227.
Right.
Then when you get to the next page, it says events cost budget 65,227.
Which page now?
she's
Okay,
saying
652.
that versus that.
Yeah, okay, there's another one. Yep. Yep.
So the 60.
There's a $5,000 issue there that I just wanted to correct. So that one, yes, has to be corrected.
Do I get a prize for noticing that?
Yes, you do.
You passed your quiz.
See?
And I flunked.
I studied.
Yeah.
All right, so on that third page, that first number that was 42 something, and you
Right.
said it was supposed to be
37,600.
37,600, okay.
We're on cost and revenue top page, since they say
Yes.
page 1 of 1, and it's 3-page 1 of 1, so I just.
I know, I should have.
To make it clear that that's the one we're
confuse you
talking about.
guys.
Okay. And down below, just to make it clear, because we had 60 down there, then it says revenue and all this, and this is total 83,000.
Right. That's right. That's right. I'm not shooting that figure.
Okay.
It's a potential, and I have to be honest with you, we're just assuming that we sell everything that we have bought. So, there could be, that potential might be less because we haven't made that goal of selling it.
But in all actuality, we've probably already raised enough to cover the 65.
Yes, yeah. If you consider the $50,000 that we have, that was from the article for the last 10 years, plus what we made, we probably have got that 60,227. So just to go through it, if you continue to the.
Did you get a quote on that fireworks?
Yes, $10,000.
So that isn't, what's this fireworks, his location question, then 10, I just want to make sure that,
Yeah,
that seems very, doesn't seem like a bad number, so I don't.
no, we'd like to make it more, to be honest with you, to make it a real flashy show, but
I mean, you
we're
got
trying to keep it
$23,000
under
extra.
control.
I'm just kidding.
Right. And we could.
Just nothing, just.
No, I'm just saying, as the year goes through, we can see where the money falls, and if we got a surplus, where we can use it, or where we have to cut back and
Yeah.
adjust and do things as need be.
So one of the requests that you asked is to divide what the tricentennial sponsored events would be and what the community events would be. So there is actually 3 sheets 4 or 5 sheets, 5 sheets there, but the first sheet is, that you see is the tricentennial sponsored events. Those are the ones that we are taking responsibility to do. And so that's where the 337,600.
Got it.
And the next page is the community-sponsored events, actually the next 2 pages. And these are all the events that might take place by the community.
But the budget estimated cost, that's still coming out of the committee's budget, not the.
Right, whatever there is, it's not a big number. We're assuming and we're making the understanding that these events that are sponsored by the community, they're taking they're paying for whatever. the
Okay, so for
service.
example, the Children's Night, which is Nottingham Rec Department, $200, that's coming out of the Rec Department budget?
No, it will come out of our budget.
Got it.
That's-
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
what I planned.
yeah, okay.
But there's an item that probably can come up.
Right. We just thought that since it's a tricentennial issue, that we might want to help them with their costs.
Yep.
And so then, as you go through the budget, I think what I was trying to do is you take a look at the cost of things that we've already purchased, and then the potential of its buying. We have revenue left over from that. That's how I came up with the revenue number is how much did we pay for these items? How much are we going to actually get for these items? And you subtract the 2 items, and that's the revenue, I call it the revenue stream that we earned to come up with this projection.
So for example, for the blanket throw,
Right,
the cost is $1,521.
right.
Your plan is that you're going to make $2,400 off of that.
Right.
But what you've seen so far is $840.
So, in that particular case, that is, we have made $2,400. We've sold them
That was
out.
a one-time
Yeah.
deal.
So we actually, in that particular case, we have made $840 on that one case.
Cost plus sales. So it cost 15, we sold it for 24 and made $840.
$840.
Do you agree with that?
I can't even find this page, I don't know. Oh, here's this page, okay, now I see what
And the ornaments is an example right there, is we know what the cost so far that we spent in purchasing the ornaments. The projection of earning is the next column over.
Yeah.
So the projection of revenue made, because we haven't sold all the ornaments, is $7,960. That's,
So the program ad book, I'm just trying to make sure I understand it. The cost of that's gonna be $2,500. The revenue, which would be ad sales, I presume,
We're on the costs committed to items page, right?
yeah.
cost, income, revenue, miscellaneous.
On the program book, we had a lot of hope on that program book that we would make a lot more money. But we had to kind of step back on it and say, it might cost us some money to generate that book, even though right now, it's been said that that book is going to be,
She said it's something.
Tyler supposedly got a company that will
Is it page 5?
print the program book for us
Okay,
at no
at no
charge.
charge, but we can't count on it right now. So I just put a value of how much it would cost to print that book. And then the potential of earning is $10,000, which means that we would earn $7,500 profit or revenue.
okay.
So that's advertisement money.
So really, in this sense, actual revenue is anticipated revenue.
Right.
Okay, not
In some
actual.
cases, it's actual, like for an example, the blanket, because we sold them all out. We're not buying any more blankets as of now.
Yeah.
So that's true, but.
What are the other ones where the actual is actual?
I think I think the rest of them are pretty much open.
Okay,
Right, they're
And
still
we
open.
sold a certain number of the ornaments.
Right, we've raised quite a bit of money through the ornaments.
yeah,
And there's probably quite a bit more potential earning through the ornaments.
But we sold our first order of ornaments. sold a couple.
Yeah.
for the
We probably sold 350, 400 ornaments so far. Still got another couple hundred that we can sell and buy more if we need to.
Yeah, the cookbook, for example, the cookbook, you selling them Saturday?
We've sold I think two on Saturday, so we have a small number left. We're pretty much.
16 of them left out of 250,
Yeah.
so we've taken in most of that money.
And just to tell you what our thoughts are, where there is a possibility, we might buy more cookbooks, because we're close to all, we only have maybe a half a dozen or a dozen left over. So, do we want to buy additional cookbooks? Well, we have to talk that over as a committee.
You also plan on selling, even though when the 300 starts next year,
Right.
you plan on selling ornaments, cookbooks and stuff,
At everything we do.
everything we do, for
Everything.
that whole thing for that 300th celebration, right?
And that's why I tried to outline every event that we have, I have put down here, maybe I overlooked a couple or something like that.
No, I
And
just want to be,
then said, this is our potential, by past experiences, that we earn maybe $250, that pretty much all the time we have these pop-up events and things like that. So, we would anticipate maybe at the reenactment that we would sell more, because it's a whole weekend-long event. And so we might sell more at that particular time frame than maybe these.
Or at the
But does that,
bonfire, or at.
Yes, yeah.
but does that mean you're double counting stuff? Because if I'm understanding this, I'm probably understanding it wrong. But back on, I don't know, page 1R of 6,
Yep.
you've got anticipated revenue for cookbook, ornaments, hats, t-shirts, so you've got anticipated revenue there. But then when you go down to page 4R of 6, you've got sale at this, sale at that, sale at this. Is it the same things that you're selling, that you have, so are you double counting the revenue there?
You might be right.
well, that's not good.
Page 4 or 6.
So where do you put all your revenues together?
Yeah, you might be right on that one. I'd have to go through and correct, see.
I have a question about one of the things that I think has been an impediment to us selling is that we can only take cash and checks. And I know like in Chester, they worked out a way that they can take credit cards for their sales.
They use a square.
Yeah, they use a square or something. And I think that would be something that would be really helpful to us. I mean, when we have an event, I always publicize that they gotta bring cash or check, but we're having like our big,
But they're forever
things where the
saying,
people, what,
"We'll be
there's always
back."
people who say, well, I'll be back, I don't have it. But if you're having things where the people who are coming, who maybe lived in town, or coming for an event, they're not gonna know to bring cash or checks, and it would be nice to.
Can we accommodate that anyway, Chris?
The person.
We work on it, yeah.
It's cheap enough, a short-term need.
right,
Yeah, it's not the, it's just it's the banking end of it that's tricky for us. We'll work on it, we'll see if we can do something.
The person from Chester, she works in the town office, she said she was happy to share what they do in Chester.
I think she was the town treasurer too,
Yeah, I
wasn't
think
she?
she's the town treasurer.
Yeah, it can be done somehow.
Because really, who carries cash now? Or your checkbook in your pocket? I mean, I never thought I'd say that. Never in a million years would I
I thought
think.
you were old school.
I am old school, and I never thought I'd say that, but here I am. No blooming cash in my pocket. Debit card only. So that sort of, it brings up a question, as you earlier tonight,
you had a discussion about credit card for the departments. Would that be an opportunity for us to have a one-year credit card for us to spend money and you observing the activity by the statements of the credit card? Because that's one of the things that's kind of difficult. Is, for an example, I went in to get copies at the library for this, so it cost me $10 to do it. So where does this money come from? Well, I just pay for it out of my own pocket, because now I have to come to Chris and say, and make out, and say, I spent $10 for these copies here. It's awkward. I mean, it's very awkward. It would be nice to be able to pay for these things as a transaction.
Our library charged you?
Yes, they did. And I had to argue with them to get the cost. They charged me, they normally charge 10 cents a copy. And I said, well, this is for so-and-so, this is for, and they said, well, I'll give it to you, no, I'll charge you for 5 cents. So I paid 5 cents a copy. And then she says, this is the last time we're going to have to pay for 5 cents a copy. You're going to have to pay 10 cents because you have a budget that can cover it. And she's right in what she's saying.
Yeah.
But it's an inconvenience to us that come to Chris and say, hey, I got a 10 cent.
I'll give you copies for 5 cents.
Yeah.
Oh, we can do it for 4. We can do it for 4.
Yeah.
We'll take care of it.
Yeah, we
You
can-
didn't need to bring a stack of copies in for these guys.
Yeah, but
We did
your
a
office
scan.
is busy, so I hate to bring it there.
You got the technology?
And we'll take care of it. You're in, Rhoda though, she's in all the time getting.
Okay.
Give me 3 of these, maybe 5 of these, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I always get some copies.
I'll review them. It's a good
Well,
point.
the
of what you
the
said.
credit card question goes to the broader question, of how do you want to control these expenses? What do you know,
Well, do we have a separate account set up?
we have an account, not a bank account, but an internal account.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
Then we're moving all the revenue and the expenses through the.
That's an ETF, right?
And I have a copy of it right now that I got from Betsy 2 days ago. And it shows essentially the revenue spent. It doesn't really give a column for that, how much has been spent and how much have been received. We just get a note to say, this is how much money you haven't spent that is available to spend. And,
Yeah, we can give you something at transaction level too, if you need it, but do you want to have, how do you want to control these things? Do you want to do this on an event by event basis? Somebody has to make sure that the January event doesn't overspend so that you
Yep.
can't do a November event, or,
Yep.
there has to be some kind of oversight there.
So here's what I would like to do first. And no way in criticism or anything like that at all. But I've spent half my life dealing with budgets.
okay.
And so I'm wondering if you and I can meet. And what I would like to do is set this up in a spreadsheet.
Okay.
So it takes away the manual handwriting for you. And we can set it up so that as your numbers change, we can automatically have the budget set up. So would you be willing to do that with me?
Right. I spend my winters in Florida, so I'll be leaving in a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, I mean, we can meet in a couple of weeks, or we can eat, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just, I think it might make it easier
Right.
for everybody to just kind of see
Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
where we're at, and then it will be easier to update numbers.
Yeah.
We can see on this report where your money is being paid to,
Yeah,
but the monies that are coming into the town kind of gets all mixed up together, like the T-shirts and the hats go into one lump sum.
sure.
And so we don't know, we kind of lose control about how many T-shirts we sold.
Got it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
I always write it down.
Right, we got a pretty good idea.
I always write down the numbers, and if I bring the money to Betsy, I
Yeah.
usually know what I'll write on the cash.
Yeah, but is she carrying through those numbers and
She
putting?
doesn't do it, no, I think she just puts it in a
Lump sum.
That's okay. That's okay.
we can figure out what we've done. Yeah, I don't think that we need a credit card so much as, the ability to accept credit cards as opposed to pay those things.
There's no doubt a square would be very handy.
And
to
they
receive
swear everybody
payments.
who swears, who
I don't know if
has
it's
that
squares
available.
best, is Vimo better? I mean, I'm not up on all this.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any of that stuff. And I think
It's Venmo.
What is it?
Venmo.
Venmo. See, I don't know.
Right.
That would be a good idea.
We don't have like laptops or whatever you
Right.
need to take with you, right? Or do you
Well,
need a
somebody had their
smartphone?
phone, if somebody had their phone and you had a Venmo, you would just tell them what your account name is.
You have to
and then
be
you just do it.
careful with Venmo though,
But
'cause-
it's $600
Yeah, I don't like
after
that.
SAT.
and it's not supposed to be business transactions,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Just would be
I mean,
something.
is that a need at all for the rec department?
We have it's all online, so they're doing it without an in-person.
Got it, okay,
thing.
yeah,
The next place you're gonna see us looking for that is the recycling center.
got it,
That's,
Oh, for the bulky fees, yep.
okay.
so
Yeah.
we're headed that way anyway.
Okay.
But this is just gonna speed us up a little bit.
Okay,
But my control question remains for you. What works for you? You don't wanna come to me or to these guys every time you wanna
It's a,
sign a contract or buy a t-shirt.
right.
You don't wanna just give an amorphous group of 3 or 4 people $50,000. Right? We trust these 3 people, but they're, you know what I'm saying. We gotta have some structure to this. And you all need to figure out how you wanna do
well,
that throughout the course.
I think where I was going with that is, I'd like to kind of get the budget presentation squared out a little bit more so that we're actually looking at, you know, what the real estimated cost, what the real estimated, and know what's estimated revenue versus what's actual. And then, I mean, I think,
And then why couldn't we just, I mean, if the money is there, it's enough, why couldn't we just start, allocating $4,000 every month onto a debit card that's there for their spending? You know, and we keep all the
well,
rest.
you gotta know what it's being spent against.
Well, we're gonna see it on the debit card, every transaction's gonna pull up wherever they're spending it, just like a credit card. Unless you spend, I mean.
Yeah, but
right?
that, to me, that's like retroactive. It's not showing what your planned expenses are, and to Chris's point, like making sure that you have enough down the line, because, you know, you have planned to spend, you know, X on Z, right? And making sure that you have enough money for that.
Well, how do we make it easier for them to spend money? Without having to come with us for everything, $10, any $20 item, or if they wanna buy
Well, I don't think it's.
$300 worth of t-shirts or and hats, do they need to always come to us?
What we've been doing, like when you ordered the ornaments, we just told Betsy and,
The money we've been spending is taken out of the money that we've earned, so it's not
right,
touching
yeah,
anything.
so it's not-
But if we have a budget that says, okay, we anticipate that these, you know, items that we're selling is gonna be 10,000, whatever the number is, right? We anticipate that the fireworks is gonna be 20,000. I mean, we just wanna track it at that level, right? And I think all we've been doing is, Chris, they've been coming to you, right?
Yeah, I think I've seen all those transactions and they're like, yeah, sure, it's, you know, the scale is not,
Yeah,
you know, they're playing with house money now.
Right.
Yeah.
But those days are gonna end, right, and we're gonna start seeing, you know,
Well-
4-figure expenses, so.
yeah.
What I'm wondering is if we go get the budget set up and you approve the budget for the amount for the event, then as long as we're within that budget
For each category.
for each category, that shouldn't be an issue.
I
And
agree.
would say that, I know, just from events that I've done over the years, generally when you're working with a town or something, most people will present you with an invoice, or they know that you're working with the town government, and You know, they provide you what you need ahead of time, so that, you know, if they wanna get paid that day.
Yep.
You turn it in and you get your check.
Well, and if Betsy's got that budget to work against,
Right. And
Right.
she has that budget.
Yeah, our system isn't great at this level of detail, that sub-level, but
Yeah.
we can figure something out, if,
Okay.
you know,
Well, and I think we can, I mean,
it's,
we'll,
we may have to clump them together a little bit, you know, you don't want,
Okay.
you don't want $100 budget account.
No,
for beer
no, no, you're right,
contest,
you're right,
So,
okay. So, but to me, the first step is let's kind of like put the budget in that
Put this
format.
budget into a
yeah.
Yep,
spreadsheet.
yep,
Yeah, I would-
exactly.
I don't have that my software is open source and nobody can open it besides me, so I was thinking I would change this into that, but.
Yeah, I'm happy to,
But if you
To help with
have-
that,
I
yeah.
just don't have the correct software.
I like that.
No, that sounds good. And then you can see the things, you can approve it, and then we know that that's our budget to spend on that.
and we'll stop grilling you.
Right.
And we want
And-
to come every month, yay.
Right, and are
Here's a
you,
little bit I put together just for my parade, seeing them in charge of the parade.
and
So
are
it's-
are you all comfortable with this point person here having the authority to just go spend this money?
Yeah,
Right, that's, I just
if
want.
that's what is allocated
Right,
in the
if-
budget, then
if
yes.
Steve comes in with a bill and says, this is for the Patriots Day March, that's good enough for us,
Yes,
right? Okay, that's,
yep. For me, yes.
okay.
So the question I have now, is the budget kind of approved? Because a question has come up, there's an item for $400. It's a donation that we have committed ourselves to do for the Charter Day. We're going to hire an actor who would read the charter for us in a British accent, dressed in a costume of the time. And we also had red coat soldiers who were going to appear on that day and be part of the 3 or 4 hours as background.
Yep,
As well as they are going to, they meaning the organization is furnishing these people, are also going to be there with a tent of some type. And they're going to pass out information that they're going to give for the reenactment in the day that we have in August. So we're trying to pre-advertise that time that we have the reenactment. And so we have, as a committee, said we're going to make you people a donation for your participation at the Charter Day of $400. It's part of the pay for the people who are going to be here, but we don't call it pay, we're going to call it donations, because that's the way they.
you make a donation to them.
We would like to make a donation to them. The reason I'm asking the question is, I've been asked, has that been approved? Because what the people who are doing the reenactment and encampment have meetings coming up, and they will use that, saying Nottingham has donated X amount of money for your participation in the Charter Day. And so it's kind of getting on the good side of them.
Yep.
Because they are going to spend a lot of time
I got
on
it.
reenactment and the
Alarm ride,
and then so.
possibly parade.
Right, and they have not asked for any donations for that particular time. And we're talking men of 200 participants, 100 British soldiers, 100 colonial soldiers, and we're gonna have their families there. And so they're not asking anything from us other than the cost of hay maybe, or wood, or things of that.
So do we have the plan all worked out for that? And any concerns about parking and space and all of that? Is any of that?
We're working on it, yes.
So logistically wise, yes. I gotta get a hold of Dale Transportation. Hopefully they will provide us with school buses. Hopefully one of our local drivers will volunteer to spend the day with us. And can do it for next to nothing, if not nothing, but time will tell. Depends on how profitable their season is. For the reenactment, again, we're gonna use all the parking we got. This parking out here, the highway department, school lot, we'll just make one big loop and pick people off and drop them off. And
Can we get a write-up on that whole thing like this, that you've done for the parade?
Sure.
Just so that we can have a good understanding and, you know,
transportation
well, the
and
whole,
parking.
and are they camping at night and are there fires
They
and,
are camping at night. There will be small fires.
so can we get a write-up on the whole thing?
Trey Sleeper's off at his field for parking,
Okay.
so that,
Who always has that name? Was it,
yes, we had the police fire department.
Yeah.
I think, John, you were there for that meeting this summer, weren't you? Up to the square? You show up? No? It was Ben and Tyler.
Ben, yeah. But like where are the police department and the fire department on this? Do they have enough information on it? Have they given it their blessing?
I think I think that meeting was the last time they weighed in on it and raised their concerns. I don't think they've had any communication since then, but I would.
We've been in constant contact with Jay, the fire department.
Jay is,
They're on board. He's
he's on board with it, he's.
part of the
been,
committee now,
I
so.
don't know about Fawn.
Fawn, she's still a little green. And concerned.
Okay, so
She
that,
should be.
I think she probably still has some concerns.
okay, so that's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I totally get where you're going and I don't have a problem with, you know, the idea of making a donation, but I want to make sure that we've got the whole plan solid and all of the people who are in positions of responsibility have all bought into it.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Can have a meeting with Fawn. And I think now that we're getting closer to formulating a plan, I think it's going to be much easier for her to wrap her head around it.
If it's written out, it'll be a lot easier to get, you know,
Yeah,
real feedback, like,
Right.
this works, this doesn't work.
yep,
Can we try this instead?
That's why I kind of listed the detours and how we
Yeah.
expect to move traffic, and then she
And
can,
If we have it like this, we can share it with all kinds of people that may have something, you know.
exactly.
uh,
I think we need kind of like this level of documentation for all of the big things. Like, this is great that we've got it for the parade, we need it for the reenactment, for the fireworks. I think those are the three big ones, right?
still waiting for the fireworks company to come in.
Right.
That's a whole nother issue, because wherever we set the fireworks, because it's gonna be the same day as the parade, little logistic avenue there, can we move porta potties to where we're going? Do we need separate ones? Do we do it at the,
I don't know if I'm sold on the gravel pit for the fireworks yet. In my opinion, may not matter, but it's tight quarters.
it's not very attractive.
It's not, it's dark,
I
obviously,
don't
but,
think the bonfire area, I think it's a good place for a bonfire.
yeah, it's just snow on the ground, whatever, it's, you know.
But the fireworks, if you need to see fireworks, you don't want to be right, you gotta have the distance to, see them.
Yep.
You don't have to be right up there, you have to, I mean, you could shoot them all down here, I try to see them from my house or something, you know?
They haven't got the distance here, though, the
No, I know you don't, but I'm just saying.
setbacks.
Yeah, yeah.
The family picnic is another item that is going to be a relatively costly event. And I do have an application now. I'm going to be seeing the park manager tomorrow.
Oh,
And I
right.
do have the application for request for a day, September 17, 2022.
Yep,
And that's a Saturday. And I had to outline to him what's happening that day in describing what we're going to be doing. So I have a sheet already made up
Right.
for them because that's what they require for their review
Yep.
on decision-making.
Yep.
And so,
Just tell them we're coming.
right, and this thing.
Or we'll stop responding to the calls?
When I first started, I said, this is going to be a catered event. But when I went out to find out the cost of the catering, it came up to be $15 per person. Well, if you had 1,000 people who came, we're talking $15,000 in cost just for food. And so we said, we just can't go that way. We're going to have to do it ourselves as a committee and a town.
It's a community.
A community event. And what we're asking the state park to do is we break the cost of the ticket into
Admission.
1/3. 1/3 of it would be paid by the family who is participating. So they're involved a little bit. 1/3 would be paid by us as the committee, and 1/3 would be paid by the state park, and that 1/3 would be admission into the park, as well as the rental of the pavilion area that we want to use. It's not dollar value, it's use of getting, the permission. You have to pay to get in through the gate to go to the state park, as well as you have to rent a pavilion. So we're asking the state park to
Waive.
volunteer their cost of admission and rental.
So, does that give people free access to the park for that day?
That was my
Right,
feeling,
yeah.
is that
Feeling is,
it should be, and they should do it every year. They should have one day a year
Right.
that Nottingham residents can come into Pawtucket State Park and use their facility.
Yeah.
If that doesn't, if you don't get through your meeting with all of that free tomorrow,
Yeah,
let us know.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I would
So-
say. There's
Is
no
that-
reason
that would
why
be
we should be
absurd.
offering to pay
Right.
anything.
And then for a picnic, we can do it, everybody bring a
We're not
dish to
paying the state
share.
park for the privilege of using the state. park.
Exactly.
One day out of three.
One of the concerns that we had is that,
Well, the Lake Association uses it every year. They get it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Right.
did it for free.
right,
Get a pavilion and all that.
Right.
It's only normally like
right.
70 people. We're not talking like
Fair.
1,000.
Fair.
So,
Yeah, and we probably aren't gonna have 1,000 people.
No, it's probably gonna be a couple hundred.
right.
Yeah.
And honestly,
If somebody has a wedding there, do they charge for the use of pavilion
Yes.
plus to have people pay to get into the park?
Yes.
Right.
That's insane.
But, like I said, I mean,
But if
you
put
could
my
charge
budget all
people a
set-
$5 ticket and we could pay their admission, but.
One of the things that we're concerned that 1/3 that the residents pay is that people who, if we gave it to them as a benefit from the Tricentennial Committee, we pay for the residents to go. They wouldn't have to pay anything. We're concerned is that they would get these tickets and never show up. And then all of a sudden, we have all this food that we've purchased, and they don't show up. So paying 1/3, we're only talking maybe $5.
Everybody paid $5.
$5. We pay $5, and.
Buy some hamburgers, hot dogs, and
we have a budget of $5,000, so we should be able to do something.
Buy meats and rolls and have people bring salads and
Right.
fruits
Right.
and,
what we were thinking.
Yeah.
But Joe, I
Potluck.
guess, Chris, we wanna go in there, they should let the people in. They should not be charging us for the pavilion or the.
there's gotta be a way that they can
And we're asking them also.
determine resident versus,
If it's the weekend after, oh wait, you're talking September 17th, right?
Right.
they're still open then.
It's
Oh, right,
after,
it's not-
yeah.
Yeah, they're still-
Well, it's
Yeah,
It's
it's
a close-
still,
It's still pretty busy in
it's a
September.
close call, because what happens is the park is open, but they start to close down their water system in the middle of September. So they would hold back, if they know this event is going to be on, is they might hold back. And they're closing down the water system right now.
How do they, well, now it's October, how do they start doing it in September if they have
well,
campers still?
right, they close day use down and
Yeah.
they start closing the beach house
Got it,
there
okay, yeah.
after Labor Day, because they don't have anybody after Labor Day really doing day use.
No, no.
it's all camping, and it's used to be limited camping when I worked there 100 years ago. But
And the only,
best time to camp,
the only other comment.
It was busy this weekend.
was it?
Mm.
But it's camping.
Only other comment I'd like to ask of you people and the selectmen, this, we hope, next year is going to be a political-free events, because it's election year next year. And we mean political-free. We don't want people campaigning at these events openly.
That's fair.
And on top of the square, we want to be able to protect the square, because last year during the election timeframe, we had all of a sudden campaign posters on top of the squares, which we never had before. And I don't think they ever asked if it can be done. I don't think, Chris, you said that no one's come to you for requests, they just have to appear. And here we are having events on top of the square. We don't want any political signs, and
agree.
even, we're gonna have to talk to Romeo on the upside where we're going to have the reenactment. I hate to see a reenactment and have a political sign right in the middle of the field. This doesn't look right.
Wait, aren't you up for reelection?
Yeah. No signs.
No
Just-
problem with me.
We're just asking for your support, is to try to keep
support
that.
I think that's fair.
Yep, yep. Cool.
So where do we stand on this right now? We're gonna get together and you're gonna put it
Yeah,
on a
but-
Word
yep.
so we can keep more of a,
Let's connect
Fast time update.
tomorrow. Before you
What's
speak
your
out,
schedule, Dan?
give me your email address,
Okay,
and I'll email you tomorrow.
I'll leave it right up here on the sign out. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
that's good.
did you have any questions on anything on there?
I'm good, yeah.
Don, you good?
I am good, thanks, guys.
I'm
Thanks for
good,
putting
thank
all
you,
that
guys.
together.
Thank you.
Hey, so, bonfire, open ceremonies. Which one of you want to speak? Anybody?
No electioneering. Wait,
Guess I'm out.
you want somebody to speak the bonfire night?
I'm just saying, it's like at the opening ceremony, so maybe we could
So
have
welcome, people.
something welcoming to, I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
We can have you stand on a front end loader and have the gravel pit.
The
I know
chairman,
yeah.
chairman of the board
Usually
usually does,
chair, we do
does
that kind of
the,
stuff.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Just a thought.
so we'll volunteer.
Might be
for that.
nice to let them know that we're on board.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
No, thank you. Always a pleasure.
You don't mean that.
I do mean that. Some nights easier than others.
All right, we'll go back. Since that was the last thing, we're gonna go back to talk about, general business, the ERZ policy. Chris?
All right, so I won't read you everything I wrote for you earlier, but the buyer of the Route 4 property, Tom Moulton, connected me with somebody at, it was Dred, or I don't know, somewhere in the state, that brought me up to speed on this economic revitalization zone tax credit program. Generally, it is a tax credit on state taxes used to try and attract businesses to the area from other states or to help retain business and jobs in the state.
Yep.
Generally, they're looking for underdeveloped or abandoned industrial, commercial properties, industrial more than commercial, and to a lesser extent, just vacant land that could be used for industrial purposes. So the Route 4 property obviously qualifies as a abandoned industrial use quite perfectly. And since it is surrounded by a number of parcels that are in our commercial industrial zone, they're vacant, but they qualify. The program gives credits, small credits on the business profits tax for businesses that create jobs or make investments in these areas. The only thing for the town to do is to say, we'd like to designate this as one of those areas.
And there's no cost to us at all.
Nope, there's no town credit, there's no impact on tax assessment, there's no, no property tax credit at all. It's this simple and easy because it really isn't a huge chunk of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Statewide, it's a couple $1 million or something
Right,
like that,
right.
so.
Is there any downside?
I haven't figured one out, if there is one, no.
And it's not for Moulton per se, it's for the businesses that are in,
Yes, not for the property owner, it's for the business owner.
Yep,
So
yep.
people that, in that case, if he's renting.
So if he like
to
came to
tenants.
our thing, or he was gonna take lot, 10 was gonna stay, or 9 was gonna stay, but lot 6 on the area A map, whatever here, in 9, whatever, he could have made like 6 potential business lots. Like each one being 5 acres, 10 acres, whatever, and so that a business come in, whether he owns, so they can put the infrastructure of the water to all those businesses, they'll have all their private septics, but he'll supply all the water to those businesses.
Yeah, but
or
so the
whatever it'll
point,
be.
the point with this though is that that's a carrot he can use.
Yes.
To attract
Yes,
new
he can use it
tenants.
To attract people.
To attract.
Yeah.
Right,
tenants.
again, it's not gonna be it's his benefit in order to get his park up and running.
Which benefits us.
Absolutely.
Benefits us, yeah.
Again, that's why, I don't think this.
And it benefits the businesses that decide to locate there.
Absolutely.
Yep,
So,
yep.
yeah. No,
Okay.
I'm-
Will it benefit the businesses that are on the opposite side of him?
Any that are in the
Like
zone,
Shea, isn't Shea
designated zone.
isn't Shea Concrete in that same
Yes.
spot?
So if
If he
they.
expands or does something, or he can get a credit for it,
They
right?
could get some tax credit for it, right? Yeah.
Isn't-
I didn't get into the weeds on what the, local business owner has to do. This is just what we have to do to make them eligible. And the state and the business owner will take it from there. But I captured all the, Shea and the Shea just bought a couple of parcels on
Yeah.
either side of their place. They're actually coming to the planning board to talk about some kind of expansion shortly. They were just like we heard from them in the last couple of days. I don't think my impression is it's not a huge thing, but something. They're preparing to change their operations a little bit. So there's kind of 2 areas that I thought made sense. One of them is that area around the former USA Springs where there's a lot of vacant industrial zone land, including Shea.
Did you make up this list personally, these spots?
I took all the vacant parcels that
Because I
were-
see you plot lot 2-1. It says Mary Hill Road.
Yep,
That's a house that's for sale with a big barn out back and everything like this. That could be a commercial property. It's in the zone, but it's kind of residential, but then could be, because they're what they're. I think that's a good, I'm just saying,
Yeah, no,
Chris,
that
nice job in
property-
thinking, because I think it's a nice big,
yeah, one of the planning board, or at least the planning staff have been approached about that property for
Right.
commercial uses.
right.
They didn't materialize for whatever reason, but that is clearly in the commercial industrial zone and is possibly,
Yeah.
somebody could make it a house and it wouldn't matter.
Well, it's set up, you should see the stuff out back. I mean, it looked like it could be a function area or whatever, so yeah.
Yep. They have to be contiguous, the zones.
Yeah,
And you can have 10 zones in town if you want. You ask for 10 zones. So one of these is actually a residential lot right now, and it doesn't really matter to the owner of that lot, whatever. They just,
yeah,
but I did that to make a larger contiguous area and get one big zone. Pretty much, with a few exceptions, this is all of the vacant land on Route 4. That's really that's what I started with was, okay, what's on Route 4 and what's vacant? Because that's our only commercial industrial zone is the first 1,000 feet back of Route 4. There are a few smaller parcels scattered about that just aren't contiguous. If we somehow had somebody that was interested in developing something there and they came to you and said, would you ask to create a zone here, we can do that, we can change this in the future. So this isn't a permanent, always has to be locked into this. If Moulton divvies up 6, 9, and 10 differently with lot line adjustments somehow, we just send a new map and it's protected, so it's.
Sounds good to me.
It's,
Yep.
yeah, it really actually seems almost too easy to.
I
do
know,
the
that's why I
turnaround.
would, John's
And
like,
if
what's
it
the
was really big
downside?
money, it wouldn't be this simple. It's,
Right.
it's just a small,
Right.
it's a small
Right.
program.
Yeah.
And then for anybody listening at home doesn't see what we're looking at, there's another collection of parcels around the intersection of Route 4 and Smoke Street and, what do we call it, Hall, or it's McDaniel and Barrington are Hall for the 100 feet here in Nottingham. One of those parcels is actually being developed for residential purposes right now, but there's a chunk of it that got split off that could make a good industrial commercial.
Isn't that gonna be the one with it's gonna be the side of the 16 that's gonna be on the power,
Yeah,
Canard Road?
the Route 4 side of the power lines there is,
That's gonna be the commercial side of it, and the other side of it is gonna be its residential for,
Right.
I know, yeah, okay, that's what I thought he was gonna do.
yeah. And actually, our maps haven't been updated to that subdivision yet, so. And people that are, that own the folks that own these properties, this is of absolutely no consequence to them unless a business on their business or somebody else's business there asks for the credit. There's no other impact on the property owner. It doesn't show up anywhere, it's not recorded anywhere.
So what do we have to do to get this going?
Just ask the state, say, please create these zones and give them these maps. And they take it from there.
So we just give you permission to do it?
Yep.
We gotta-
Do we got a proposed motion here?
Right. Motion.
Do we have to read out all the maps and lots?
No.
No.
I'll make a motion that pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 162-N:8, the Nottingham Select Board hereby requests the designation of 2 areas to be economic revitalization zones. Area A consists of 16 parcels, Area B consists of 6 parcels, all along Route 4 and within Nottingham's commercial industrial zone.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous.
Guys have it.
Nice job.
So Chris, just going back to the 300 for a minute. Steve gave us his plan for the parade. We probably need to make sure that,
We'll give it the staff treatment on this too.
okay, run it by.
We've been in some of these conversations that have developed this, but we'll get fire and police and public works and
Fine.
recreation to
Thank you.
look it over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or what letters are we doing for non?
A and C.
All right, are we done with all our discussions for the town? Anything they want to add? All right, seeing none, we will now go into non-public.
We gotta make a motion first.
Well, somebody will make a motion just explaining what's going on quickly, and then, after we leave non-public, we will be, recessing this meeting, or
Adjourn.
Close.
adjourning this meeting, and that'll be it. So a motion to go into non-public.
I'll make a motion to enter non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, Section 2A and C.
Roll call?
I'll second the motion.
Sorry, second the motion? Now I'm going
I,
too
Donna
fast.
Danis.
Hi, Tony Dumas.
Hi, John Moore. Good night, Nottingham.